the Philippines, French Spider-Man Alain Robert climbs a 700-foot Makati tower.
Makati Police Station apprehends Robert for causing alarm and scandal, as well as trespassing. More details on this later in the news. Good evening, I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Elago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. The Senate Committee on Women, Children, Family Relations and Gender Equality cites Apollo Kibuloy in contempt.
The Philippines and the United States set to hold the annual Balikatan exercises in Batanes and Palawan.
Polls say Donald Trump leads over President Joe Biden for the 2024 U.S. election by 4%.
At least 35 people die in an unforeseen snowfall in Pakistan.
And Sinead O'Connor's label asks to stop using her music in Donald Trump's political rallies.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
España,
Paris, France.
United Kingdom,
Washington, D.C.
London Bureau, Papua New Guinea, in New York,
Washington, D.C.
Mata ng Agila. Mata ng Agila.
Mata ng Agila International.
Trusted, connected, on point.
The Senate Committee on Women, Children, Family Relations and Gender Equality has cited Apollo Kibuloy in contempt. This is due to Kibuloy's absence in the Senate hearing, despite receiving a subpoena issued by the Senate Committee probing complaints of alleged abuse. In a statement, the Senate Committee on Women and Family Relations said, and I quote, "Pursuant to Section 18 of the Rules of the Senate, as chair of the committee, with the concurrence of one member here and me or here with me, I cite in contempt Apollo Carrion Kibuloy for his refusal to be sworn or to testify before this investigation. This committee requests the Senate President to order his arrest so that he may be brought to testify." Meanwhile, Kibuloy sent a letter to the Senate through his legal counsel and appealed that the subpoena against him be dismissed. Senator Robin Padilla objected the ruling to hold Kibuloy in contempt, blocking the subpoena and arrest order. In the rules of the Senate, the arrest order may be dismissed when it is opposed by 8 or a majority of the 14 members of the Committee on Women and Family Relations.
14 out of 24 senators have signed a statement reiterating their resolute and unqualified support for the leadership of Senate President Juan Miguel Mig Zubiri. According to the senators, Zubiri's consensus-building and consultative leadership transformed the Senate as one of the most harmonious in recent history. They also cited Zubiri's decisive handling of the divisive issue of the People's Initiative as the pool of senators opposed. The 14 senators who signed the manifesto say that they need to rally behind the leader who is untainted by corruption or conflict of interest. Senator Amy Marcos says that there are rumors of a coup, citing that there is a lot of pressure to replace Zubiri. Senator Marcos further explains that these rumors come from the House of Representatives and not from the senators. There were some reports that some groups wanted senior Senator Estrada to replace Zubiri. Senator Estrada negates the coup rumors and says that there is no truth behind it and that he has high respect for Zubiri. To oust the Senate President, at least 13 votes are needed.
4 crew members from the Philippine Navy were injured after Chinese Coast Guard bombarded Unaiza May 4, a Philippine Coast Guard vessel set for a resupply mission in the West Philippine Sea, with a water cannon after the ship's collision this Tuesday. The National Security Council confirmed that the injured crewmen were harmed after CCG's water cannon shattered UM4's windshield, which prompted it to return to mainland Palawan. UM4 is one of the 2 vessels that are set on a rotation and reprovisioning mission, or RORE, for the AFP posted on BRP Sierra Madre in Ayungin Shoal. PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela, said a post on X, and I quote, "Throughout the operation, PCG vessels faced dangerous maneuvers and blocking from the Chinese Coast Guard vessels and Chinese maritime militia. He then added that CCG's, quote, reckless and illegal actions, unquote, led to the collision and resulted in minor structural damage to the PCG vessel. The collision is the second incident of its kind since December, when Chinese ships also blasted Philippine boats with a water cannon. In a separate statement, National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea said, and I quote, the systematic and consistent manner in which the People's Republic of China carries out these illegal and irresponsible actions puts into question the sincerity of its calls for peaceful dialogue and lessening of tensions. Meanwhile, the NSC assured that the PCG personnel from BRP Sindangan, a sister ship deployed to support AFP's Rore, treated the injured Navy personnel.
The Philippines and the United States will conduct their annual Balikatan exercises in Batanes and Palawan, islands that are facing the South China Sea and Taiwan. Balikatan 2024 Executive Agent Colonel Michael Lohico says the joint military drills will be held in April and May. The Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, will use its Spider air defense missile acquired from Israel. Spider is an advanced weapon system of the Philippine Air Force's 960th Air and Missile Defense Group. It is a mobile air and missile defense system designed to protect critical installations, land-based fixed assets, mobile platforms, and friendly forces from aerial threats. The Philippines and Singapore are the only two countries in Southeast Asia that operate the Spider missile system. Colonel Lohico says the AFP will also test the interoperability between its weapon systems and those of the United States. Experts say the AFP's move is consistent with the shift in the country's focus from internal to external defense. The Philippine Coast Guard and the Philippine National Police will also join the AFP for Balikatan exercises. France and Australia will also be participating in Balikatan activities.
The Philippines will expand its partnership in higher education with Turkey. The two countries signed a 5-year memorandum of agreement bringing together universities with excellent science, technology, and engineering programs from both countries. The Philippines and Turkey also plan to focus on fisheries and marine sciences. Other possible areas of partnerships are university research in the defense industry, industrial partnerships, upskilling, and reskilling programs. The collaboration involved sending graduate students to Turkey, panel membership of Turkish faculty members to theses and dissertations of graduate students, and other activities between universities in the two countries.
The Commission on Elections has reported a significant surge in voter registration for the upcoming 2025 elections, with nearly 1 million applicants having signed up since the registration period commenced 3 weeks ago. As of the latest data, a total of 910,918 individuals have completed registration from February 12th to March 4th. Leading in registrations is Calabarzon, boasting the highest number of applicants at 165,702, followed closely by the National Capital Region with 140,638. Other regions with notable registration figures include Central Luzon with 98,976, Central Visayas with 70,972, and Davao Region with 55,315. Conversely, Cordillera Administrative Region, Mimaropa, and Caraga have seen lower turnouts with 10,346, 22,069, and 24,331 registrants, respectively. COMELEC Chairman George Garcia expressed astonishment at the overwhelming public response to the ongoing voter registration drive, deeming the numbers unprecedented. He attributed the surge in registrations to the nationwide expansion of the Register Anywhere program.
The Supreme Court has upheld the constitutionality of the government's authority to temporarily assume control over the country's oil industry during national emergencies. Section 14E of Republic Act number 8479 empowers the Department of Energy to intervene in the operations of any entity within the oil industry when deemed necessary for the public interest during times of national emergency. This ruling marks a reversal of the Court of Appeals 2013 decision, which had deemed Section 14E unconstitutional. The 2013 decision arose from a petition filed by Philippine Shell and Petroleum Corporation, arguing that the provision represented an unjustifiable delegation of emergency powers to the executive and was therefore unreasonable and oppressive.
The Philippine Statistics Authority said that the country's inflation increased to 3.4% in February from 2.8% in January. This marked the end of a 4-month decline in inflation. PSA noted that this month's inflation is slower than 8.6% in February 2023. National statistician and PSA Undersecretary Dennis Mapa explained that the leading reason for the growing inflation is the increase in the price of food and non-alcoholic beverages, particularly tomatoes, pork, and rice. Mapa added that transport has also contributed to inflation due to the price hike in petroleum products. Coming up, Ukraine is collecting funds from Poland's 2 donor events. And look who's leading in the 2024 U.S. presidential elections. Stay tuned for more stories around the globe when we return.
This portion is brought to you by North Luzon Express Terminal.
Welcome back to Mata ng Agila International. Japan's top government ministers have denied a media report that Tokyo is set to call an end to deflation. Japan's economy minister Yoshitaka Shindo argued that Tokyo was currently not considering calling an end to deflation. Shindo added that the Japanese government will redouble its efforts to ensure that wage growth in its nation exceed inflation. This is to ease Japan's economic growth and avoid slipping back into a period of prolonged price declines. Japanese Finance Minister Shinyoichi Suzuki reaffirmed Shindo's views, rebuffing the media report. Over the weekend, Japanese media Kyodo News reported the said claim.
Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong said negotiating for the South China Sea Code of Conduct would really take some time as issues are not easy to resolve. Lee's remarks came after Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said his administration would push back against China if it ignores the Philippines' rights in the region. Lee believed that the common stance of ASEAN members is to negotiate a code of conduct on the South China Sea with China. But to negotiate and settle the code, he said that it would take some time. The Prime Minister said Singapore does not have claims in the South China Sea, but it has an interest in freedom of navigation and the application of international law. He asserted that the region is a vital artery for international trade. Last month, the Philippines said it is firmly committed to negotiations for a code of conduct between China and Southeast Asian countries to avert confrontations in the South China Sea.
Meanwhile, China has set its economic growth target for 2024 at 5%, far below the double-digit growth that for decades powered the world's second-largest economy.
我们要坚持稳中求进，一进促稳，先烈后破。今年发展的主要预期目标是：国内生产总值增长5%左右。
China's National People's Congress, or NPC, has officially unveiled a target as its $18 trillion economy is facing serious headwinds. Chinese Premier Li Qiang said Beijing would push ahead with transforming the growth model, including through tax reform, fostering talent in tech, boosting domestic consumption, removing barriers to private investment, and issuing 1 trillion yuan in special government bonds. Li said the government would aim to create 12 million new urban jobs and target an unemployment rate of 5.5%. Li also said China's military budget would increase by 7.2% to 1.66 trillion yuan.
我国经济持续回升向好的基础还不稳固，有效需求不足，社会预期偏弱，风险隐患仍然较多。
China's economic roadmap, which matches last year's goal, comes as the Chinese economy is grappling with multiple challenges, including a property crisis, slowing exports, geopolitical tensions with the United States, population decline, huge debt, and record youth unemployment. China's economy officially grew 5.2% in 2023, its weakest performance in decades, excluding the pandemic downturn.
很有信心，因为为什么呢？我们在这个经济发展这方面呢，比如说那个高新科技方面，还有电子方面，特别是新能源汽车方面的话呢，都有很大的助力。那么我们看到去年的经济增长的话呢，也是这块呢是主要的一个动力。我们希望呢，今年的话呢，在这方面呢有更多方面更大的提升，也欢迎这个电动汽车能尽快多一点的落户香港，我们都很期待。
Chinese Premier Li Qiang sent a message saying China resolutely opposes Taiwan independence. Li said Beijing's armed forces will improve military preparedness to firmly safeguard China's national sovereignty and security.
我们要坚持贯彻新时代党解决台湾问题的总体方略，坚持一个中国原则和9·2共识。 坚决反对台独分裂和外来干涉，推动两岸关系和平发展，坚定不移推进祖国统一大业，深化两岸融合发展，增进两岸同胞福祉，同心共创民族复兴伟业。
South Korea and the United States begin their annual Freedom Shield joint military drills to bolster readiness against North Korea. The 11-day drills will integrate elements of live exercises with constructive simulations, according to United States Forces Korea, or USFK, and South Korea's Defense Ministry. The exercises will focus on deterring North Korea's nuclear threats. USFK said in a statement that the drills, and I quote, will include but not be limited to lessons learned from current and ongoing conflicts to increase the unit's combat readiness and combined defense posture, as well as strengthen the security and stability on the Korean Peninsula and across Northeast Asia. In addition to Freedom Shield, the two allies are conducting several smaller field training exercises to enhance their defense posture and cooperation through air, land, sea, space, cyber, and special operations. North Korea has previously condemned U.S. and South Korea joint military drills, but it has not yet made any official comments or response to the current exercises.
According to the National Intelligence Service, or NIS, North Korean hackers have successfully infiltrated the systems of South Korean chip equipment manufacturers. This development follows a warning issued by South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol a month ago, cautioning about potential provocations from North Korea, including cyber attacks aimed at disrupting upcoming elections. The NIS reported that Pyongyang's motive behind the cyber intrusion is to acquire technology necessary for its weapons programs, particularly for the development of satellites and missiles, which rely heavily on semiconductor technology. According to their report, North Korean hackers gained unauthorized access to the servers of two chip equipment companies, where they illicitly obtained sensitive information, including product designs and photographs of manufacturing facilities. While the NIS urged vigilance among all companies within the chip manufacturing industry against cyber threats, it refrained from disclosing the identities of the affected firms or those at risk of future attacks.
Ukraine says it has not seen the 16 billion euros or 17 billion US dollars in proceeds from two donor conferences held in Poland in 2022. Jane Kathleen Gregorio tells us more.
The announcement that Ukraine has not received the fundraiser funds from Poland comes amid worries in Kyiv surrounding military and financial support. The Russia-Ukraine war is entering its third year. Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal says the two donor events in 2022 had raised 10 billion and 6 billion euros, respectively. Ties between loyal allies, Poland and Ukraine, have been strained in recent months. This because of a dispute over grain imports and a blockade on their shared border led by Polish farmers. Kyiv says it desperately needs more military and financial assistance. It awaits a fresh $60 billion repackage of U.S. aid held up in Washington. Shmyhal earlier urged Western countries to speed up the handover of confiscated Russian assets to Ukraine. This, as Ukraine seeks to rebuild from over 2 years of war. Jane Kathleen Gregorio for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Argentina's government has suspended the Telam state news agency for 7 days as it prepares to shutter it entirely. President Javier Milei has vowed to shut down what he calls a mouthpiece of propaganda for previous leftist administrations. Joanne Soriano has the details.
Hundreds of people protested the closure outside the Telam headquarters in central Buenos Aires on Monday. Telam has been operating for 8 decades and has more than 700 staff. It published more than 500 national news articles and 200 photos daily, as well as content for video and radio clients. Telam is the latest casualty of Argentine President Javier Milei's drive to shake up or shut state institutions since taking office in December. Milei announced the closure of the agency during a speech at the opening of Congress on Friday. Presidential spokesman Manuel Adorni says staff will be paid during the 7-day suspension. On Sunday night, journalists discovered the government had fenced off 2 of the agency's buildings and surrounded them with police. The agency's website has also been taken down. Joanne Soriano for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Meanwhile, heavily armed gangs attempted to seize control of Haiti's Toussaint Louverture International Airport, engaging in gunfire exchanges with police and soldiers. Fortunately, the attack occurred during a period of closure for the airport, with no flights in operation and no passengers present on the premises. Local reports have not confirmed whether the assailants were successful in their assault. Just last week, the airport faced a similar threat when it was briefly targeted by gunfire amidst ongoing gang activities. However, during that incident, the gangs did not manage to breach the airport security or take control of the facility. These attacks come amid a backdrop of escalating gang violence, with reports indicating that gangs currently exert control of about 80% of Port-au-Prince, the nation's capital.
The United States has imposed sanctions on Zimbabwe's President Emerson Mnangagwa and several senior government officials, citing their alleged involvement in corruption and human rights violations. Announced by the U.S. Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, the sanctions target 3 companies and 11 individuals, including Manangagwa, his wife, Vice President Constantino Chiwenga, and retired Brigadier General Walter Tapfumanei. U.S. Deputy Treasury Secretary Wally Adeyemo emphasized that they are not intended to harm the people of Zimbabwe, clarifying that the sanctions aim to hold accountable those individuals directly responsible for corruption and human rights abuses. Specifically, Manangagwa stands accused of shielding gold and diamond smugglers operating within Zimbabwe, instructing government officials to facilitate the illicit sale of these resources and accepting bribes in exchange for favorable treatment.
The former financial director of Donald Trump's organization pleads guilty to perjury for giving false information linked to the ex-president's civil fraud trial. Roland Gonzalez has the details.
76-year-old Alan Weiselberg pleads guilty to perjury. Weiselberg was the chief financial officer of Trump's real estate and entertainment group from 2005 to 2021. He is accused of giving false information linked to the former President Donald Trump's civil fraud trial. Weiselberg will be sentenced to a lesser term of 5 months imprisonment. This in exchange for admitting guilt linked to 2 counts of perjury committed during a deposition about the valuation of Trump's New York penthouse apartment. The plea document states that offenses for which Weiselberg was charged carried prison terms of up to 7 years. Prosecutors also agree not to seek further charges against Weiselberg linked to his time at the Trump Organization. Roland Gonzalez for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
According to a recent New York Times poll, former President Donald Trump is maintaining a 4% lead over incumbent President Joe Biden for the 2024 elections. Elijah Villanueva has the details.
After crippling backlash over accusations some UNRWA employees were involved in Hamas's surprise October 7 attack on Israel, Chief Felipe Lazzarini says breaking up the UN Refugee Aid Agency would be detrimental to a generation of children.
Dismantling UNRWA is short-sighted. By doing so, we will sacrifice an entire generation of children, sowing the seeds of hatred, resentment, and future conflict. The notion that the agency can be dismantled without violating a host of human rights and jeopardizing international peace and security is naive at best.
Lazzarini says he is reaching out to the General Assembly because UNRWA, 75 years after its creation, is at a breaking point. He warns that the agency's ability to fulfill its mandate is seriously threatened. Despite the unsubstantiated nature of the allegation, Lazzarini confirms that 16 countries have pulled their funding. This pullout totals $450 million. UNRWA, he adds, has no capacity to absorb financial shocks, especially when the war in Gaza rages.
We are functioning hand to mouth. Without additional funding, we will be in uncharted territory with serious implications for global peace and security. UNRWA is facing a deliberate and concerted campaign to undermine its operations and ultimately end them. Operations that are mandated by this Assembly. Part of this campaign involves inundating donors with misinformation designed to foster distrust and tarnish the reputation of the agency. More blatant is the Israeli Prime Minister openly stating that UNRWA will not be part of post.
David Oria from Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Thank you, David Oria. According to a recent New York Times poll, former President Donald Trump is maintaining a 4% lead over incumbent President Joe Biden for the 2024 elections. Elijah Villanueva has the details.
Among likely voters surveyed, 48% indicated their preference for the former president in a hypothetical current election scenario, while 44% expressed support for Biden. One potential candidate, Nikki Haley, is considered. 46% of respondents showed a preference for Haley, compared to 37% for Biden. This survey underscores a notable shift in Biden's favorability, with 47% also expressing strong disapproval of his leadership. The upcoming Super Tuesday, slated to be the biggest day thus far in the 2024 race, will provide further insights into Joe Biden and Donald Trump's strengths and potential weaknesses. Voters in 15 states and 1 U.S. territory will have the opportunity to select candidates for president. And this crucial event may also serve as the final opportunity for Nikki Haley to challenge Trump's dominance in the Republican primary. Elijah Villanueva for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Amazon founder Jeff Bezos has dethroned Elon Musk, reclaiming his title as the world's richest man. Bloomberg Billionaires Index shows that Bezos' net worth stands at $200 billion, surpassing Elon Musk's $198 billion as of March 5. In comparison with their respective companies, Amazon's share price surged by more than 18% this year, while Tesla's dropped by 24%. Tesla previously paid a package worth of $55.8 billion, adding to Musk's woes.
Up next, at least 35 people die in an unforeseen snowfall in Pakistan. Western Canada braces for a brutal wildfire season. And prickly tumbleweeds are invading the U.S. streets. Please don't go away. We've got more stories when Mata ng Agila International returns.
Sobrang mahihain ako, pero parang ang daming nabigay sa akin na Ronnie para lumabas ako sa mga.
Pero, nagharana ka rin ba?
Actually, siya humarana sa. Kasi siya singer eh. Kumanda ka na, Ara.
May palibreng armisi din eh. Nga kasi ang alam ko lang ganito po eh.
Okay? So, one. Sige, one. Ay! Train anytime, anywhere. And always be ready.
Hello everyone! Ako po si Maris.
Ako po si Ronnie.
And we are the
Ricketts.
Ricketts. Abangan niyo po kami sa magandang araw this Saturday at 3 p.m. Dito lang po sa
Net 25!
Ano ba yan?
Saan ang kalaban? Saan ang kalaban? Saan ang kalaban?
Wala pa.
Wala pa ba?
Nag-iimbita kami. Abangan nyo kami, ha?
Dito sa Magandang Araw.
Yeah.
Let's get together. Sunday 25. Sunday 25.
unusually mild winter and sparse snowfall have forestry officials in Western Canada on edge. They fear the country is in store for another brutal wildfire season. Thomas Eyelikeness has the details.
For many people here in Western Canada, wildfires are not top of mind right now. In the last few weeks, we've had a massive dump of snow, up to a meter in some places, and temperatures have dipped to a chilly minus 30 degrees Celsius. But the recent snow will fall short of replenishing ground moisture needed to keep the region's forests from becoming tinder dry this summer. And there's another problem that's left over from last year as well. So-called zombie fires that you see here on the screen. Now, these blazes continue to smolder under the winter boreal forests. Layers of peat and other organic matter fuel these fires. There's nearly 150 of them burning in Western Canada, despite the bone-chilling temperatures. In my province of Alberta, the government declared an early start to the fire season last month. It has also set aside $2 billion just in case things get really bad. Government officials say they're preparing for the worst. Last year, several communities had to be evacuated as fires raged nearby. But even with more firefighters on the front lines and a bigger pot of cash to cover expenses, Western Canada remains at the mercy of nature. Forecasters fear the region may experience another drought, made worse by the relatively light snowfall this winter. And the only thing that may stave off a disastrous fire season is heavy rain in the spring. Many communities are already making preparations should the flames get too close to their homes. They're holding information sessions with volunteer contractors who can help firefighters beat back the flames. And the rest of us, well, we keep our hopes up that rain clouds will appear and supply much-needed moisture. Thomas Eyelikeness from Atanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
A massive fire hit a nitrogen tank plant in Michigan. Police have urged residents to avoid the area of 15 Mile Road at Grosbeck Highway. Witnesses said that loud explosions like fireworks have been heard in the area. Police on scene said that shrapnels have fallen from the sky. Meanwhile, police disclosed that there was a 10,000-gallon diesel fuel tank on the property, according to the owner. Fire officials said it deployed about 15 fire trucks to contain the blaze.
A fire in a high-rise apartment building in a Spanish seaside town has claimed 3 lives. The victims have been identified as a young boy, his father, and his grandmother. Marjorie Quintos has more.
The blaze broke out early Monday in the 24-story building in the port city of Valencia, Spain. Rescuers evacuated 120 people from the block, with 15 taken to hospital for smoke inhalation, one of whom was a local police officer. Firefighters took about 2 hours to extinguish the blaze. Residents have since been allowed to return home. Cause of the fire is not known, although media reports blame an overloaded electrical socket. The latest tragedy comes after 10 people died in an apartment fire in Valencia on February 22nd. Marjorie Quintos from Atanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
At least 35 individuals have lost their lives, with dozens more sustaining injuries following freezing rain and unforeseen snowfall that swept through remote regions of Pakistan over the weekend. The severe weather conditions primarily impacted Pakistan's northern and western areas, resulting in road blockages and significant damage to hundreds of homes. Authorities have reported that among the casualties, 22 children perished, many of whom were caught in landslides that buried their residences. The unexpected snowfall in March, typically a humid period in Pakistan, has left experts astonished, who attribute it to the effects of climate change. In response to the crisis, the local government has mobilized relief efforts, providing essential supplies to affected areas and announcing financial aid for the injured and the families of those who lost their lives. Despite these efforts, the Meteorological Department has issued warnings indicating the possibility of continued snowfall in certain parts of the country throughout the remainder of the week.
The United States airman accused of leaking top-secret Pentagon documents online pleads guilty in federal court. The plea comes under a deal in which he accepts a roughly 16-year imprisonment. This in exchange for prosecutors dropping more serious espionage charges. Jeff Sanidad has the details.
Jack Teixeira pleads guilty to 6 counts of willful transmission of national defense information. He agrees to a deal worked out between prosecutors and the disgraced serviceman's lawyers. In the deal, Teixeira faces no espionage charges. He will be sentenced to up to 16 years and 8 months under the agreement. He must pay a fine of $50,000 and assist intelligence officials to understand the extent and impact of his disclosures. U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts, Joshua S. Levi, mentions how Teixeira miscalculated the authority of the FBI and the Department of Justice.
Some of the information Mr. Teixeira posted was about troop movements in Ukraine, about the provision of supplies and equipment to Ukrainian troops. He also posted information about a U.S. adversary's plans to harm U.S. forces serving abroad, a particularly despicable act. Mr. Teixeira was questioned by fellow users of this social media platform about whether what he was posting was classified information. He readily admitted that it was, and he said that he didn't care and that he wouldn't get caught. Well, Mr. Teixeira grossly underestimated the investigative powers of the FBI and the Department of Justice.
The Massachusetts Air National Guard IT specialist was arrested in April for allegedly orchestrating the most damaging leak of U.S. classified documents in a decade. It is the biggest such breach since the 2013 dump of National Security Agency documents by Edward Snowden. The leak raised tough questions about access by Teixeira and other junior staffers to high-level secrets. Teixeira was an airman first class. It is the 3rd lowest rank for enlisted U.S. Air Force personnel. He had possessed a top-secret security clearance since 2021. Jeff Sanidad for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Tropical Haze, the developer of open-source Switch emulator Yuzu, will pay $2.4 million in damages to Nintendo and cease all operations in response to Mario Maker's recent lawsuit. News from Nintendo's legal action against Yuzu surfaced several days ago, claiming that the emulator facilitated piracy at a colossal scale. Nintendo's legal team said that over 1 million copies of Legend of Zelda Tears of Kingdom had been illegally downloaded ahead of its official launch. Tropical Haze is now facing an order preventing them from offering to the public, providing marketing, advertising, promoting, selling, testing, hosting, cloning, distributing, or otherwise trafficking in Yuzu or any source code or features of Yuzu. Aside from settling $2.4 million, which is still pending a judge's approval, Yuzu will also surrender its domain ownership to Nintendo and delete all copies that infringe on Nintendo's IP rights. Yuzu released a statement in their official X account stating that they have immediately stopped the development of emulators and that they believe their software was intentionally pirated. Coming right up, multiple ASEAN nations are in a unique row over Singapore's deal on Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour. Find out why police apprehend the so-called French Spider-Man. And Sinead O'Connor's label asked Donald Trump not to use her music. Catch more news in sports and entertainment when we return.
ay nag-acting showdown ang mga taga-gamers na service crew.
Kayo na lang yung pamilya ko. Kayo na lang yung meron ako.
Oo.
Pero ang tingin mo sa akin, lalabas na ng gate.
Kung ang octopus ay may 3 puso, ilan naman ang puso ng ipis?
Hindi po, 0.
Ang ipis, kahit inaapak-apakan, may puso din yan. This is Tara Game! Agad-agad!
Let's get together. Sunday 25.
My ever dearest boss name.
Imported yata yung letter sender natin.
My name is Vinty Malabrigo.
Ang ating employee of the month ay si... Minty Malabrigo! What is this coffee?
Sorry po, Miss Minty.
Are you insulting my taste buds? Magtrabaho na kayo!
Love, Bosleng, and Tali. Tuwing linggo, alas 6 ng gabi dito lang sa Net 25.
Let's get together. Sunday 25.
Wait lang po, pagbaba ko ba nito? Ako yan lang, picture niya na.
Kanina pa ako nagigigil dito.
Tawa-tawa ka ha.
3!
Pakuha lang po, Nay. Ito? Huli ka nga rin eh!
Aching! Naku, sir, sorry po. Kasi po na-aching po ako. Hindi ko po sinasadya. Pasensya na po. Opo, sir. Mangugupit po ako.
Napahanap si sir, oh.
Kaya nga po.
Sir, pasensya na po, ah.
So, bottoms up iced tea. Ito na, ang iced tea. Isang basong iced tea. Isang baso lang. Tama naman yung promise ko, di ba? Gusto ko yung tinugana niya.
It's B.O. It's B.O.
Together. Sunday 25.
Royal experts say Prince William does not want to follow King Charles in matters surrounding his marriage. Some people say Prince William lets Princess Kate enjoy the limelight and the attention she attracts. This is unlike King Charles, who was allegedly jealous of Princess Diana's popularity. Royal expert Jenny Bond believes that William should be credited for not feeling jealous of Kate's huge fan base. Bond says Prince William learned a lot from his parents' marriage and made sure not to follow his father's lead in crucial matters surrounding Kate, the Princess of Wales.
Multiple countries in Southeast Asia are in a unique row over Singapore's deal over Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. Gerald Blanco has that story.
Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong has confirmed that his city-state struck an exclusive deal with Taylor Swift that prevents the pop star from taking her the Eras Tour anywhere else in Asia in the ASEAN summit held in Melbourne, Australia. Loong elaborated that a deal was reached after Swift has been offered certain incentives from Singapore's tourism fund that aims to revive the country's tourism after COVID-19. The infamous Eras Tour has shattered multiple records in the previous year as it reportedly surpassed $1 billion, and her box office hit film adaptation of the tour quickly became the highest-grossing concert film of all time. The Cruel Summer Singer will be performing a total of 6 shows in the country from March 2 to 9 under the exclusive deal, which agitated Singapore's neighboring countries because of tourism opportunity deprivation the deal has triggered. Singaporean Prime Minister said, and I quote, "If that's what's needed to be done to get an outcome which is mutually beneficial and which from Singapore's point of view serves not just to grow the economy but also to bring in visitors and goodwill from all over the region, I don't see why not." Long was further grilled when he was asked about whether or not he thinks the deal has undermined the spirit of cooperation within ASEAN, an association Singapore is a member of, to which he responded that the deal wasn't regarded as unfriendly towards the country's ASEAN neighbors. When asked about potential bad blood among leaders due to the deal, Long has defended that if Singapore did not strike a deal with the singer, other countries might have done so. Taylor Swift's team has not responded to any comments regarding the Prime Minister's revelations. Gerald Blanco for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Back in the Philippines, bystanders report to authorities after witnessing Alang Robert once again scale a 217-meter tall skyscraper in Makati City. The Makati police station apprehends Robert, the so-called French Spider-Man, for causing alarm and scandal and other forms of trespassing. Robert this time is seen wearing a pink and purple attire, as seen in the posts from netizens. This is not the first time that Robert climbed a skyscraper in Makati. Year 2019, when he was first arrested after he scaled up a 712.93-foot tall skyscraper in Makati City. He is famous for his climb at different landmarks such as the Burj Khalifa, Taipei 101, the Empire State Building, the Golden Gate Bridge, the Eiffel Tower, the Sydney Opera House, and the Montparnasse Tower. Robert is famous for his free solo climbing or scaling of skyscrapers without any climbing equipment and harness except for a small bag of chalk and a pair of climbing shoes.
Damian Lillard shines as the Bucks take down the Clippers without Giannis Antetokounmpo, and the Los Angeles Lakers get a much-needed win over the Oklahoma City Thunder. Vin Pasqua has the score.
Damian Lillard leads the Milwaukee Bucks past fellow contender Los Angeles Clippers without former MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo and ex-All-Star Chris Middleton. Milwaukee star Giannis Antetokounmpo missed the game with a left Achilles injury, but this didn't seem to bother the Bucks as their all-star guard took over in game time, or should I say Dame time. Damian Lillard scored a game-high 41 points to lead the Milwaukee Bucks to a 113-106 victory over the visiting Los Angeles Clippers. The Bucks look to be in great shape as their backups Bobby Portis added 28 points and 16 rebounds off the bench. Patrick Beverley tallied 12 points and 9 rebounds against his former team, leading Milwaukee to their 6th straight winning game. James Harden and Paul George led Los Angeles with 29 points apiece, while Kawhi Leonard added 16. Ivica Zubac collected a team-high 11 rebounds for the Clippers, who had their modest 2-game winning streak snapped. The two teams are set to meet again in Los Angeles. On the other end, the Los Angeles Lakers get a much-needed win of SGA's Thunder to stay well inside playoff contention. D'Angelo Russell sinks multiple wild three-pointers in the breakaway fourth quarter as the Los Angeles Lakers blow out the electric Oklahoma City Thunder. LeBron James further extended his record by scoring 19 points to go along with 11 rebounds and 8 assists as the host Los Angeles Lakers earned a 116-104 victory over their top-seeded Western Conference rival. D'Angelo Russell scored 26 points and made 5 three-pointers, while Anthony Davis had 24 points and 12 rebounds, and Austin Reeves added 16 points as the Lakers failed to close out a victory over the defending champion Denver Nuggets. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 20 points and hauled in 7 rebounds, and Chet Holmgren added 15 points and 7 rebounds for the Thunder, who had just moved back into sole possession of first place in the conference with a road victory over the Phoenix Suns. Oklahoma City slipped back to second behind the Minnesota Timberwolves, who beat the Portland Trail Blazers. Lou Dort also scored 15 points. Josh Giddey had 13 18 and Aaron Wiggins added 12 for Oklahoma City, which lost for just the second time in its past 9 games. The Lakers cruised to the victory from there, winning the season series 3-1 over the Thunder. Reporting for Sports, Vin Pascua for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
The music label of the late singer Sinead O'Connor has made an appeal to stop using one of her songs in Donald Trump's political rallies. This is the latest among numerous artists who have made similar requests to remove any association with the former U.S. president. Donald Trump has been asked to stop using Sinead O'Connor's music after playing the late Irish singer's hit Nothing Compares to You in a campaign event last month. Prior to this, artists such as Adele, Rihanna, Elton John, and the Rolling Stones have also expressed concern, with some taking legal action towards the same issue. In a joint statement released by O'Connor's estate, together with her record label, Chrysalis Records, they expressed that this would have disgusted, hurt, and insulted the late singer. They also added throughout her life, it is well known that Sinead O'Connor lived by a fierce moral code defined by honesty, kindness, fairness, and decency towards her fellow human beings. The statement ends by saying that as guardians of her legacy, we demand that Donald Trump and his associates desist from using her music immediately. O'Connor was 56 years old at the time of her death last July 2023. She was known for other popular releases, such as I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got, and her debut album The Lion and the Cobra. And to send you off this Tuesday night, here's a quote from Filipino-American singer-songwriter Bruno Mars. There's always a bittersweet kind of thing, but I feel like everything had to work out the way it is. Everything that had to happen, happened.
I think for everybody going through something tough right now, it is so nice to remember that there is a reason why these things happen. Sometimes it might take years for us to get that reason, but there is a reason.
And I think that once we are in full acknowledgement that these things happen for a reason, I think the sooner we can begin to feel better and keep moving forward. And before we say goodnight this Tuesday night, if you are ever still on the road at this moment, please don't forget to tune in to Eagle FM 95.5.
You can also catch the latest updates on our social media platforms. I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richielago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Thank you for choosing Mata ng Agila International, your trusted news source, connecting you to the world and on point with stories from around the globe. Follow, like, and subscribe to @Net25 TV.